Hello, this is Ms. DB, and today we are going to learn another way to write equations of lines, and this is called point-slope form. So we are going to graph a line and write a linear equation using this form, point-slope form, and also write a linear equation given 2 points. Here is the point-slope form. You have to know the slope m, and you have to have at least 1 point on the line, and we'll call that x sub 1, y sub 1. If you have that, then you can write the equation y minus y sub 1 equals m times x minus x sub 1. When we write our equation in point-slope form, we replace these colored letters, not the black ones. So it'll be something like y minus 3 equals 1/3 times x minus 2. The y and the x have to stay where they're at, and of course the equal sign as well, and the parentheses. Let's look at an example. Let's say that we are given an equation, or given a slope of 1/6, that's m, and that we're given a point on the line at 5, 1. It's really easy to write this in point-slope form. All we have to do is figure out what are each of these 3 numbers, where do they go in the point-slope form of a line. So start by writing point-slope form. Write the original point-slope form without the substitutions made. And it looks just like this. Now we just have to figure out, okay, what is y sub 1? What is m? What is x sub 1? So m is 1/6. Up here, this is m right here. M. Whoops, I don't have my pen. Let's use this color. So this is m. This is x sub 1, and this is y sub 1. I didn't color code them, but that's what they are. So 5 is x sub 1, and 1 is y sub 1. So we just replace each of those numbers down here. So this is m, it's going to go right here. And this is x sub 1, it's going to go right here. And this is y sub 1, it's going to go over here. So you have to rearrange them a little bit. And when we do that, we get y minus 1 equals 1/6 times x minus 5. Now the trickiest part of this is that the original point-slope form is y minus y sub 1 and x minus x sub 1. So you're actually going to be taking the opposite signs of these, and that'll be the sign here. So it's y minus 1, this was a plus 1, and x minus 5, this was a plus 5. That's it. This is done. That's all you do for point-slope form. Okay, let's look at another one. In this one, our slope, that's our m, is -4, our x sub 1 is 0, and our y sub 1 is 3. So we are going to first write down the point-slope form of a line, write down the original point-slope form, and there it is. That's good practice in memorizing it as well. And then we substitute -4 for m, so this is going to go right here. We put 0 in for x sub 1, and we put 3 in here. And then we have y minus 3 equals -4 times x minus 0. You can leave it like that if you want, or x minus 0, you could just write that as x. But that's fine. It's point-slope form, so either way is fine. Okay, now in this one, this is where you have to be careful because our x sub 1 is negative and our y sub 1 is negative. So that's going to be a little bit trickier. Start by writing your point-slope form of a line. Good practice. And then replace m with 1, replace x sub 1 with -1, and replace y sub 1 with -4. Now, you do need to simplify this down here. Oops, I wrote that the wrong way. This. Because x minus -1, that's a little bit awkward. And so is y minus -4. So y minus a -4 is the same as y plus 4. And x minus -1 is the same as x plus 1. So that's a much cleaner form when you have simplified your minus a negative. And what I was saying earlier, you're really doing the opposite sign of both of your points. You can see that here. So instead of y minus 4, you'd write y plus 4 because that's the opposite of -4. All right, here's the ones from your worksheet. So you're going to do the same thing. Here is point-slope form of a line. So you need to take what's given to you. This will be our m, this would be our x sub 1, and this would be our y sub 1, and you need to replace it in that equation. So I'll start with y minus, now I need the y sub 1. So I go through here, oh, there's my y sub 1, it's 6. That's equal to m, but m is 1/5, so I replace that. And then we leave the x, and you got to have a y and an x in your equation, and it's minus x sub 1, which is 2. So note there's still a y and an x, otherwise you don't have an equation of a line. Let's look at one with a negative, number 3. Oh, let's look at number 4. The slope is 0. So y minus, let's see, this is our m, this is our x sub 1, this is our y sub 1. So y minus 2 is equal to m. Well, I guess you could leave it like this, but this is going to simplify. 0 times anything is 0. So this actually simplifies to y, add 2 to both sides, equals 2. So because the slope is 0, whenever the slope is 0, you have a horizontal line. And every horizontal line is the form y equals whatever number it goes through on the y-axis. So you can leave it like this, though. That is point-slope form, or you can simplify these. Number 3, I was going to say that negative part, just make sure that when you do the x, or no, it'd be the y minus a negative 7, that before you finish this, you would simplify to that as y plus 7. But I'll let you finish the rest of that one. We can also graph a line from point-slope form. You've already worked with graphing a line in slope-intercept form. It's very similar. We start by plotting the point that we're given, and then we find the slope from that point. So in this one here, this is in point-slope form, we know that this is the slope because it goes y minus y sub 1 equals m times x minus x sub 1, and m is the slope. So that's our slope, and then our point, so m is equal to 2. Our point would be x would be 3 and y would be 1, because this is our x sub 1 and this is our y sub 1. And we would not use the minus 3 because we want the opposite. So that'd be 3, and the opposite of negative 1 would be 1. So we start by graphing the point 3, 1 on our coordinate system. So put the point 3, 1 right there. Hey, that's not the point 3, 1. That's the point 1, 3. Ignore that. I'll go back a step. So the point 3, 1 would be right here. I can't make a good point with my, okay? And then from there, we have to do the slope, and the slope is 2, which is the same as 2 over 1. So that's a rise of 2 and a run of 1. So from that point we graphed, we go up 2, and then we go over 1, and then we draw a line through that. A little bit crooked, but so first put the point on the line, x is 3, y is 1, and then do the slope. From that point, go up 2 and over 1, and then draw a line between your 2 points. So ignore this. This is the wrong, they did the wrong one. There we go. Okay, here's another example. First of all, we have to figure out in this point-slope form, what is the slope and what is the point that we're given. So here's a plus 2 for x, but that means that our x sub 1 is going to be minus 2, and then our y is going to be 4. Do the opposite sign of each of them, and our slope is 3/4. So we start by putting the point negative 2, 4 on the graph. So there, that one's correct. Go over to negative 2 on the x-axis, and then go up to 4 and put a point. From that point now, we do the slope, which is rise of 3, run of 4. We always go to the right when we do our run. So you go up 3 and to the right 4, and then you put another point, and then you just draw a line that's through those points. There you go. That is the line graphed from point-slope form. One more example. This one, the slope is 0. Now we talked a little bit about that. When the slope is 0, what kind of a line do you have? You have a horizontal line. So the slope, or the point, is going to be 4 for the x value and -3 for the y. Notice how we took the opposite of both of those, opposite signs. First, put the point on the graph. So we go over 4 and down 3 and put a point. Now the slope is 0. That means that no matter what, the y will always be -3. It's going to be a horizontal line. So you just draw a horizontal line. You don't even need to add those points. Just draw a horizontal line through y equals -3. And that is your line graph. All right, so these are the problems that you have on your worksheet, except instead of having to figure it out from the equation, they're actually giving you the point. So they're making it one step easier here. You need to start by graphing the point and then apply the slope from that. So let's see. We would put the point at -3, -3 for number 5, which is here. Yeah, I'm a little bit off. I can't get it right on. And then from there you would go up 2 and over 3, and you'd put another point, and then you draw a line. So that's a pretty bad line. Do I have an eraser? You can actually do this in Word, which is your program. Let me open up your worksheet. Here we go. This is number 5, 6, 7. I'm going to show you how to do this in Word. Okay, so the point is -3, -3. I'm going to go to Insert, Shape, and pick something that would make a point. You can pick a circle or a star or a cross. I don't care. I'll just pick an oval. And then go to -3, -3. I maybe should have made this a little bigger. Zoom in a little bit. That will help us. Okay, that's pretty close. And you don't have to fill your point in. Oops, I was better off where I was before. And it's okay if it's not exactly in the right spot. Now from that point, you have to apply the slope, which is a rise of 2 and a run of 3. So I'm going to need to put another point after I go from here up 2 and over 1, 2, 3. So it would be on the y-axis. Move over a little bit. There, that's pretty good, huh? And now between those points, I'm going to draw a line. So I go back to Insert Shapes, and I'm going to pick a line tool. This one is like a segment. This one has 1 arrow on it. Oh, here's one with 2 arrows, even better. So I start here, and I go here. But see how short my line is? It's kind of lame. So I want my line to extend through those points, actually. How do I get that to extend? I'm going to throw this line away. I want a line that goes all the way through those points and continues forever in both directions, but I was not very good at doing that. So let's try going from here, goes through both points. Oh, that's pretty good. And that's my line that goes through those points and continues, and I have done number 5. So that's how you can use the word tools to make that work. All right, I'm going to go back to the slideshow here, and let's continue on. We can also write the equation of a line in point-slope form if you are given 2 points on the line. So if you're given 2 points on the line, you have to find the slope first before you continue. So here we are finding the slope. Remember that slope formula, which you already learned about, is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So we plug in 5 for y sub 2, and here, let's write that on here. This would be, whoops, get the pen again, I guess. So this would be x sub 1, y sub 1, and this would be x sub 2, y sub 2. And we need to find the slope. So y sub 2 is 5, so I put 5 there. Y sub 1 is 1, so 5 minus 1. And on the bottom, we'd have x sub 2, which is 8 minus 10. So 5 minus 1 is 4. 8 minus 10 is -2. and simplify that and you get -2. So that's our slope. You could also write that as -2/1 if you wanted. Now you get to pick either point. You can use 10(1) or you can use 8(5). This example used 8(5) for x sub 1, y sub 1, but I labeled that 10(1) was x sub 1, y sub 1. So you might want to keep with that. It doesn't matter though. Either, there's two answers for this. We could do y minus y sub 1 is 1 equals, slope is going to be -2 no matter what, times x minus 10. That's correct, and this is correct. They're both correct. And you can leave it, I have to check both ways because if you do this problem on your worksheet, there's two answers. And they both would graph the same line. They're both the equation of the same line, but they just look a little different. Okay, number 8 is on your worksheet. So the first thing, remember, is that you have to find the slope. And the slope is found by subtracting the y coordinates. That's the number that goes on top. So -2 minus 2. And then on the bottom, you subtract the x coordinates. So 7 minus 1. So you should get a slope of -4 minus 2. -2 minus 2 is -4. And 7 minus 1 is 6. And then simplify that to its lowest form by dividing them both by 2. And you get -2/3. So that's what you would use for slope in your point slope form. Actually, we didn't do this part about writing it in the slope-intercept. Cross that out. So write that in, plug that in. And then that's your m, and then you get to pick whichever point you want for x sub 1, y sub 1. You can either use 1, 2 for x sub 1, y sub 1, or you can choose to use 7, -2 for your x sub 1, y sub 1. So you still need to finish that one up. And then the last thing we're going to do is go from point slope form to slope-intercept form. So start by writing it in point slope form, using m for 3, and -1 for x sub 1, and 4 for y sub 1. And simplify that. So writing it, remember that slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. So it looks a little different. We don't want y minus y sub 1, we want just y. Basically, all you have to do is solve this for y. So simplify the right side, that x minus -1 is the same as x plus 1. Then do the distributive property, and you get 3 times x is 3x, and 3 times 1 is 3. And then the last thing we have to do is add 4 to both sides, and we get our answer in slope-intercept form, y equals 3x plus 7, where m is the slope and y is the y-intercept. Okay, here's another example. But in this one, first you have to find the slope. So that's our first step. So we go ahead and we plug those points into the slope formula. Y minus a -3, that's the same as 1. 1 minus a -3 is the same as 1 plus 3, so you get 4. And then 4 minus 2 is 2. And that simplifies to 2. And then plug that into the point slope form of a line. You can pick either point that you want to do this, and they will both give you the same slope-intercept form. So they chose to use 2 for x1 and -3 for y sub 1. And m, of course, was 2, which we just found. Now all we have to do for the rest of this is, because they want it in slope-intercept form, is we solve for y. So we simplify the y minus -3 becomes y plus 3. Then we do the distributive property, 2x minus 4, that becomes, and finally we subtract 3 from both sides in order to solve for y. So now we get our answer, y equals 2x minus 7. If we would have chose the other point for our x sub 1, y sub 1, we would get the exact same answer at the end. Here's your examples from your worksheet, so you're going to do these same steps. Let's look at number 14 together. So again, we start by writing y minus y sub 1, that's our y sub 1 is right here, equals, we start by writing this in point slope form. Oh, not m, let's put 1/4 in there. Erase that. So our slope is 1/4, times x minus 8. And then we do the distributive property. So we will have a fraction for our x, but that's okay. And then we take 1/4 times 8. What is 1/4 of 8? 1/4 of 8 is 2. If you take 8 and break it into 4 piles, you'd get 2. You can also multiply straight across and have 8 over 4, and 8 over 4 is also 2. So we have 1/4 x minus 2. And then the last step is to add 3 to both sides. So y will equal 1/4 x plus 1. And that is your equation written in slope-intercept form. Erase that weird looking one there. And then that's it. That's how you would leave your answer. All right, thank you very much. And let me know if you have any questions, and have a wonderful day.